Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and welcome to my February 2019 horoscope report for you. Go to anniehelpsyou.com to check out my blog and all kinds of other goodies on my site, including enrollment for my astrology apprenticeship program if you'd love to learn astrology with me. Also, if you'd love to be a coach as your profession and bring your business online, my coach certification and online business training course is enrolling now. And I have launched my new publishing company, Luminous Life Publishing, Books and Beyond, and along with it, my new book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days. So you can see more about this prayer book that is for all denominations at anniehelpsyou.com. So February is one of my most favorite months of the whole year of 2019 for so many things, for launches. Also, we've got 3 times the sweetness, 3 times as many sweet aspects this month. It is an amazing time to do anything important until around February 18th when we start shifting into Mercury retrograde shadow period. So I've got lots and lots of details about my favorite days to do important things, plus a massive amount of details specifically for you and your sign. So let's look at those details now. Hello Libra friends. Okay, so let's look at the charts to better understand the energies at play for you this month. In general, when the planets are in an air sign, as they are for the predominance of this month, Aquarius, that favors beautifully Libra energy because that creates that beautiful 120-degree angle that we're always after in astrology. So fanning the flames of just the way that you are, things being in natural sync with you. This month, I want to focus on 2 planets. I want to teach you more about these planets, help you understand how they manifest and how they can manifest for you, tell you where they are influencing, and give you some tips on how to best use any potential challenges that come up to get the better end of the aspects. The first thing I want to do, even though I am going to talk about some things that are true for all Libras, I want to show you this chart I've made, probably very long overdue, right, to help you determine if you're an early, middle, or late degree placement. And you can refer back to this chart, just rewind back if you need to figure out. My assistant and I try to answer the questions, but we get a lot of people asking if they're early, middle, or late, so we want to just give you the resources in the video to figure that out, to just take a little work off of us. Okay, so if you know your birth dates, you can see here early dates, middle dates, late dates, and these are roundabouts. There are some shifts to this sometimes depending on when the sun went into Libra in the certain year you were born, but this is a good general guideline, and it doesn't have to be exact, it's close enough, okay? If you know your sun sign degree, or you're watching for your rising or moon, here's the early degrees, the middle degrees, and the late degrees. Okay, so now that you know where you're at, when I start to drill down and refer to different designations within Libra, you'll know which one is relevant for you. So, first I want to talk about what it is we're looking at. You know, when you look at a chart, many people will run screaming, "Ah, get me out of here." I know I did. When I first looked at astrology charts, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to help anybody with this? But once you learn the language, everything has its language, you know. Once you learn the language, you can use the language and speak it adeptly. So in order to speak the language, I like to break it down into smaller, more manageable parts. So each of these things we're looking at, these are planets. And I always see the planets as having personalities. Some are more happy, some are more grouchy, and everywhere in between. And they have different ways they manifest, and they have ranges of potential. So when you think about the people or the planets like people, it really also bows to their archetypal energies that, you know, people over many thousands of years have used these archetypal energies. That's why sometimes we refer to planets as he or she. So Venus has the personality of my grandma Marge. So I'm going to, if you don't know my Grandma Marge already, if you've been watching me for a while, you know all about her and why I think that she's related to the energy of Venus. But just to give you a picture for now and forevermore, for you to understand Venus better, every planet has different aspects of itself that it rules. So whenever I would see my Grandma Marge, I have to describe, okay, she always seemed to be smaller than me for whatever reason. This is not really relevant to the archetype, but just so you can get the image. She would grab my face, reach up in the air, grab my face, say, I love you, kiss me on the mouth. Venus rules love. She would stick $5 in my pocket. Venus rules money. She would tell me and the other grandkids how beautiful we are. Venus also rules self-esteem and beauty. And then, sorry for this picture, but that is a fork and that is a meatball. She'd stick a meatball in my mouth. So that is the other aspect of Venus. It rules physical, emotional, nurturing, and sustenance. So now you can understand the energy of Venus. So I always think of the game Clue. If you don't know about Clue, you can look it up. It was a board game that was like a murder mystery where you had to figure out who did it, with what, and where. So when we're translating the placements, I always like to think of the planet as the who. All right, so the professor is one of the characters in Clue, did it with the rope, which is the sign that the planet's in, with what and kind of how, and then where is the house it's in. That's why we always talk about houses. For once in a while, I'll have somebody say, Annie, talking about houses is too complicated. You're losing a lot of viewers. And I say, yeah, I know. I'm not trying to cater to the people who don't want to know about houses. I'm catering to the people who, if they don't know what houses are, they want to learn. I'm totally fine with that. Obviously, my joy is in teaching. So you can see why you want to know about the houses, because that's where Grandma Marge is. Grandma Marge is bringing her sustenance and her love and her awesomeness to different places for us at different times. So the early, middle, and late degree placements will have blessings in the third house from Grandma Marge, aka Venus. Early degree placements, you see, Venus is getting very close to moving into the fourth house. So it's just at the beginning of the month that you'll feel the effects in the third house. We'll describe what that means in a second. Your middle degree placements, depending on your exact degree, will have a lot or, a good bit or most of the month with Venus in the third. And then your late degree placements, you'll pretty much have all month with Grandma Marge in your third house. The early degree placements, and then for a small part, the middle degree placements, will also have Grandma Marge in the fourth house. So what does that look like? What does my grandmother in your third and fourth house look like? There'll be a lot of meatballs, I can tell you that. Okay, so third house has to do with communication, transportation, relatives, especially your cousins, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, grandparents, things like that. So people not your parents or kids. But your parents or kids could be in the fourth house. So we can see some of any relative could kind of come in here. So Venus is harmony. Venus is things about money. And Venus moving into the sign of Capricorn brings more, sometimes somberness, but always like a practical, getting down to business, grounded approach to the Venus expression. So it could be that you get a new car or you get new devices, and this would be an amazing way to use this energy because February is one of my most favorite months in the whole year of 2019 to do anything important, to make any important purchase, especially by the 18th. Starting the 19th, the Mercury shadow for the March Mercury retrograde transit will start to begin, will get closer. So if you can catch it in the 19th, 20th, 21st, you're kind of far away from the actual retrograde, but you are starting to get into the shadow there. So the sooner before March, like the further away from March in the month of February that you do important things, it will have more oomph and possibly longevity. So if you need a new device, you need a new car, I love it, love it, love it, love it this month. Definitely stay tuned for after the LIBRA. I'm still thinking about Clue. The Libra specific report. I'll talk about the general transits and I'll give you the dates that I love for important things. That includes purchases. So it could be a time of enhanced communication, social interactions. The third house also rules social interactions, friends, and stuff like that. It's one of the friendship houses. So all early, middle, and late. I'm using the early chart here, but I'm referring to you all. All early, middle, and late will be having all those blessings there. Then you early, and then some of you middle, most of you middle, at some point February, will have Grandma Marge in the fourth house. And then you all in the late degree positions, you'll have Grandma Marge in your fourth house, but like more into March. So this brings harmony, peace, important things about money. It could be, notable money news into the sector of the home. So for those of you who have home-based business or who have a business based on homes like real estate or design or anything like that, that can bring more money and could also bring more harmony, could bring resolutions to challenges. Could also mean you're buying a new home. I love February for buying a new home, especially if you can close in that time. Go into contract in January, buy it in February. That's not the only scenario, but that's my favorite for most situations. So that's Grandma Marge. All right, so now let's give some attention to Saturn. Saturn is not as fun as Venus. We'll just say that right now. But Saturn can be as fun as Venus. It just have to do a little more work. So let's talk about the archetype. What's the personality of Saturn? Saturn is the taskmaster. There are lower and higher vibrations of every planet, every sign, every placement has a range, a spectrum of manifestation. So Saturn's lower spectrum can be, that it's hard, there are challenges, there are difficulties, there are obstacles, that there's pressure. Gosh, that is a word associated with pressure. Saturn. Could be depressiveness, just kind of things that are in general a bummer, okay? But the higher end of Saturn is just form, like you create something, manifestation, creation, acknowledgement, stability, security, strong foundation for present and future growth for a very long time, long-term gains. Most of the time, converting the negative energies to the positive take the taglines of Saturn. And the taglines of Saturn are hard work, dedication, persistence. Sometimes it's working hard in the areas that you're not working hard in. Like, for instance, I see this happen all the time. Someone will say, I work all the time. I work 24/7. But then I'll ask, well, what about your inner work? What about your inner world, your mental paradigms? Oh, I don't have time for that. Well, you're totally missing the boat, because a little bit of work in your emotional, mental, spiritual realms can make your physical realms much easier, your material realms much easier. So sometimes Saturn wants work in those realms so that you can work less in the other realms. For my fellow spiritual seekers who are doing self-development 24/7 like I am, sometimes Saturn wants hard work in some areas besides that, that you're not focusing on. A lot of times it's hard work in areas you're not doing it already. So how you can apply those tenets to, other areas of your life that need some help. So that's the message of Saturn. You've got to have this dedication. You have to have this focus. You have to be diligent in order to create the new realms for yourself, the new experiences. And a lot of times that has to do with creating from the inside out. We live in a holographic reality. So if your outside experience is not how you want it, you've got to use those Saturnian principles to work on your inner space, your inner world. If you haven't picked up the presence process already, you hear me talk about that all the time. That would be a good way to start. Reading the book is helpful, but actually doing it is what works magic. It's The Presence Process by Michael Brown. You can find that on anywhere pretty much. So, Saturnian principles and experiences. Let's look what's going on for early, middle, and late. You can really see when you're looking at an outer planet the difference between the early, middle, and late placements. So here is an early placement. It's been in the 4th house. Saturn's been doing its positive or negative or both thing in the 4th house, the house of home and family. For 2018, it's been there. And now, also still in 2019. For middle degree placements, you early middle degree placements, you've had some of this in 2018, but you middle degree placements, you're just having Saturn really get into the 4th house now. You might have had whispers of it before, but it's really getting in there now. But you later degree placements, and you later middle, like you late middle and then late degree, look how clearly Saturn is in your 3rd house. See, 4th, see, 4th Saturn, 3rd Saturn. Okay, so you've got a while before Saturn really starts getting into your 4th house. So Saturn is bringing different lessons depending on the placement for you. When Saturn's in the 3rd house, it brings a different end of what we talked about with Grandma Marge. You know, Venus just tends to bring blessing, sweetness, it's lightness, it's more superficial, you know, it's just harmonious, it's quick, it's... but Saturn, you know, when Saturn's somewhere, it's there for a long time, years. When Venus is somewhere, it's there for weeks. So that's the difference. Saturn in the 3rd house for you middle to late and late degree placements still wants you to focus on your communication. Could be bringing hardships in communication, including devices, cars, challenges with cars, transportation with your actual physical mobility with your body. Sometimes this manifests as. So there are lessons there in healing communication with other people. There could be stressors with relatives. Or there could be amazing manifestation for work that you've done in the past. If you've honored what Saturn wanted you to do and you got it, you can have the most amazing devices and communication and transportation and mobility establishing for you at this time. And you'll know if you need to do work if it's not that. It's not that way. Okay, then the rest of the middle and early degree placements, you have Saturn possibly busting chops in the home and family, or bringing massive accomplishment, recognition, you know, accumulation, laying the groundwork for the future, for home business or for home-based business or for family happiness, establishing things for the future of your family. So it could run any of those spectrums there, but it's very focused on home and family and houses and real estate, things like that. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Libra. Now I want to give you those beautiful dates. If you've got to do anything important, I want to give you the dates to watch. There are only a few of them, but they can be a little bit nasty. So I'll tell you when those are going to be and some other things to know about the month. So let's look at the general charts now. So the theme of the month for February 2019 for all signs is 3 times the sweetness, and that is because literally we have 3 times as many sweet aspects as we do challenging ones. In the beginning of January, we started these really nice open skies with the stars, you know, the planets moving direct, but January was a little bit dicey in the way that we had 2 powerful eclipses, and for some people those brought amazing positive changes, for others very stressful changes, and some people were just holding space for others as they went through the changes. And some positive changes still could have carried some stress because of just the newness of them. You know, trying to get into a new rhythm or having it come all of a sudden can carry its own kind of stress, even if it's a very positive thing. So February is going to have a totally different energy. The open stars of having all the planets be direct is going to continue through February 18th. So we've got all that going on. And then, like I mentioned, we actually have a massive amount of sweet aspects. We do have a second supermoon that is at its 1st degree. So this whole energy of clean slate is continuing. And that's just a very, you know, major theme for all of 2019, actually, that's being initiated here at the beginning. I'm going to give you a list of the days that have sweet aspects and a list of the days that have challenging ones, and then we'll go into some more details. But definitely remember to go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter to receive a written version of these general transits delivered into your inbox a month early so that you have them visually for planning purposes. Okay, and if you are already on my email list and you're not getting my emails, then definitely check spam, social, events folders, and move them into your inbox to get your inbox the message that you want them there. Okay, so the sweet days are going to be, let's just make a little list over here. And so the sweet days, these happy ones, are going to be the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, 4th, 7th, 9th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 22nd, 23rd, and 27th. Okay, the challenging ones, and as I give you these dates, remember that we often feel the energy of a transit before or after the actual transit, so don't hang your hat too heavily on the exact date. Just know that present and the days around these days are the transits. Okay, so the challenging ones, where we'll just kind of put a little guy having some difficulties there. Okay, so we have a challenging transit around the 1st, the 12th, the 14th, and the 22nd. And also in those days at the end of the month, there's, on March 1st, there is a challenging aspect, so you might feel some of that in the days at the end of the month. But in general, you can see a lot more sweetness there. And when you track this over time, you can really see a difference, like the mood of the month is very much directly affected by the amount of sweet aspects we have versus challenging ones. Okay, so let's just do a little summary of some of the major ones here, and then definitely go to anniehelpsyou.com to get a list of the rest and what you can experience with them. So on the 31st, I'm going to list the Saturn in Capricorn, sextile Neptune in Pisces again. Okay, so let's see. Saturn there. Neptune there. Because as you can see, like here at the beginning of the month, they're only a degree apart. So that aspect, that beautiful 60-degree angle, it's one of the most favorable in astrology, is still going to be echoing out for many days, even a couple of weeks, the first couple of weeks of February. You'll be feeling the sweet vibes from this sweet lineup. Whenever planets that are outer planets get together, in any configuration, they last longer than the ones that move more quickly. Okay, so you'll be feeling those sweet vibes. And in general, this is characterized by material gains coming from spiritual focus and pursuits, or artistic focus and pursuits. So kind of like a blending of the sides of the brain, a blending of the seen and unseen. Okay, so the next thing around that time, and this is one you really got to watch out for. Mars in Aries square Pluto in Capricorn. Okay, so we got Mars in Aries there. Pluto in Cap here. You can see they're at 21 degrees right from the beginning there. So they're matching. And that's a square. That's like a, no, we don't like that one as much. Now, it is true that challenging aspects can definitely spark something important. And for the seeker, we don't have to look negatively upon these challenging aspects, because they could sometimes give us the catalyst that we need to do something, or it could be a conflict that sparks a breakthrough. But as far as like your general safety, definitely be careful around those days, because it's just the kind of energy that could actually be dangerous. You don't want to antagonize a crazy person in the beginning of the month there. You want to be careful with your physical body. You want to guard your head, guard your bones. Okay, so now we start the sweetness spree. Venus and Uranus getting together on February 2nd. So we've got Venus here. We have Uranus here. Okay, so this is going to move into configuration with this. Venus rules love, beauty, money, self-esteem, design projects. Uranus is the great awakener, the great bringer of surprises. So in the days before and after the 2nd, sweet surprises are more likely. And of course, that's happening at the same time as that awkward, possibly dangerous aspect the day before. You know, that's why I always say we have to remember, like, these are layers of a truth that are happening all at once. And if you're trying to plan a launch or doing something important, your personal experience is going to outweigh any date something is, quote, supposed to be good. You know, you may feel the icky aspect earlier and then the nice one later. You know, you just got to tune in. But if you know what's going on, it helps you to follow these things. And I see it happen all the time, that people who are sensitive, people who are empathic, people who are paying attention will tend to feel like, wow, something's up in the stars, you know? And so you have your answers here as to what's going on. Another sweet aspect on the 3rd between Mercury and Jupiter. Where are the buddies? Okay, Mercury and Jupiter. I'm going to move into configuration there. So that is really great for anything important: communication, mobility, important connections, travel, could manifest in wonderful ways, having to make important purchases for devices or cars. I love this energy for that. Then we've got the new moon at 15 degrees of Aquarius on February 4th. So lots of sweet energy there. This new moon is also in a conjunction with Mercury and a beautiful aspect with Jupiter, which enhances it. Then the sun, on the 7th, the sun is in a beautiful aspect with Jupiter. So whenever anything is in a nice aspect with Jupiter, it's like benevolence, good luck, sweetness. So the sun will move there. And then, of course, these will be together as well. So that could bring important news, important connections. More sweetness and positive surprises on the 9th with Mercury and Uranus getting together. The 12th and 13th, this is one of those times to watch, because this is where Mars and Uranus get together in Aries. So both of those can be a little bit aggressive, can be a little bit jarring. Aries energy can be a little bit physically, could be dangerous. So just watch your body. And Aries rules the head. So, and again, just don't antagonize crazy people. If you're driving, it's not the time to make some sort of negative movement towards a driver that you don't like. And also things like not texting when you're walking, just paying extra attention in the days around the 12th and 13th, because tensions will be running higher. So I always say you can prepare for these kind of energies by trying to rest, get good sleep, be relaxed, so that when they come, you can kind of just navigate through them as a spiritual ninja. I always use the example with aspects like this, like if you're a grandparent and you have your grandkids coming to visit, you could either leave out all your white linens and all your white stuff, only to have the kids destroy them, because that's just what kids do when they're playing, right? Or you can swap them out for the kid-friendly things and then have a rest-free time, so that when the chaos and madness comes, that all the things that you want to remain safe are, and you don't have to stress about them. So that's what I always think about when there's an aspect like this. Like if you know some stress is coming, and you just kind of take your magnesium, take your B vitamins, you just have your coherence plan situated, then it makes it much easier. Okay, so back to sunny skies and sweetness again with our little happy cloud there, with the 17th and 18th. We've got Venus in Capricorn making a beautiful aspect to Neptune in Pisces. And, okay, so let's show you where that is. Let me say there, Venus in Cap. Okay, so you can see here Venus is in Sag, but it is going to move into Capricorn by the 17th and 18th. And that's going to make a nice aspect with Neptune here. Dreamy, creative, spiritual breakthroughs, things like that. And then the Sun in Aquarius is going to come together with Uranus at this point in a beautiful way. Okay, so that's later in the month when this joins into a configuration with this. But again, the 17th, 18th, just sweetness. I love it for important things: love, money, idealism, romance, art, creativity, expression of every kind, action, motivation, inspiration are just all enhanced beautifully at this time. And then the full moon, that second supermoon of the year. Supermoon is a moon that is actually closer to us. When you look at it, you're like, what? Why is the moon so big? It's because it's closer. And of course, it exerts more gravitational effects when it's closer. So it tends to be more intense, more emotional. So do prepare for an extra emotional full moon. But for the most part, there are sweet aspects with this full moon, with 0, almost 1 degrees of Virgo on the 19th. So lots of wonderful things coming to fulfillment, fruition. Could be some drama. Some people experience negative drama at the full moons, but there is a lot of sweetness at this particular full moon. Moving along to the 22nd, we've got a square. That's one of our challenging aspect days. We've got a square with Mercury and Jupiter. And where are you guys? Okay, so Mercury is going to come and Jupiter is going to be in a square. Of course, Mercury is not going to be here at this point. It's going to move over there, and that's where the square is going to happen. But, you know, communication, mobility, things like that, kind of getting a little pressure from Jupiter. Even when Jupiter has kind of like a challenging aspect, it tends to manifest in a softer way than the rest of the outer planets. So I usually list like just exhaustion for this one, like being overtired. And of course, if you're going because of all these sweet aspects and because you have this open window and because, you know, the Mercury retrograde shadow period is going to start on February 19th, which is true, then you could be tired because you're trying to fit a lot in. And really, it is important to note that I love, love, love this month up until about the 18th or 19th. So we'll just say February 1st through the 19th, or we'll even just say the beginning of January, but since we're in February, we'll talk about this through the 19th here, is some of my best favorite launch times in the whole year. You will have other opportunities, but in April, Jupiter is going to go retrograde, and it's always nice to have Jupiter direct when you do important things. And then, of course, you know, we don't have as many retrograde issues as we did last year, but it really is good to take advantage of this time. I know that I'm planning to just like run it really hard until around this point and then just start to roll in the backdrop again. Okay, so another sweet aspect on the 23rd. Actually on the 22nd, there's one that could go either way. Venus gets together with Pluto. So Venus will make it over here to connect with Pluto. And that, you know, Pluto's intensity and Venus is love and money and self-esteem and things like that. So that could kind of go either way. Some intense news or an intense experience with love or money. Could be an ego battle, something like that. Another sweet aspect on the 23rd. Another sweet aspect on the 27th. And then on March 1st, we've got that square with Venus and Uranus. It's going to come over. Of course, you can't see the square actually happening here now because Venus will have moved quite a bit, and that's when it will come into the square configuration, which is a challenge. You know, so those days at the end of the month, there could be, you know, love spats, money issues, things like that. But remember that when we're talking about aspects like with Venus, you know, usually it blows over in a couple of days. So it's not always a big deal. It might feel kind of stressful at the time. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general transits. Really sweet month full of awesome possibilities, amazing for launches moving forward, some of the best stars of the year for doing important things. So definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. You can check out my blog. You can check out my astrology apprenticeship program if you love how I teach astrology and you'd like to learn for your own personal or professional purposes. If you'd love to be a coach as your profession and bring your business online, I can teach you how to do that. You can check out my coach certification and online business course, also at anniehelpsyou.com. Definitely check out my new publishing company, Luminous Life Books and Beyond, along with my new book, Radical Prayer, Transform Your Life and the World in 28 Days with these magical, powerful, super effective prayers and affirmations So you can see that at anniehelpsyou.com along with all kinds of other goodies. If you'd love written horoscopes by me, you can check out my website, cozybysweetstarlight.com. At cozybysweetstarlight.com, I write written horoscopes, often with different information than I share in the reports. And I always put those up a month early as well. And I've got all kinds of other lifestyle blogs written by me and other up-and-coming bloggers. If you are a traveler, you can check out my website, astrologykissedtravelbliss.com, for astrology travel reports monthly. If you are going to travel, you can see what the stars are like for traveling. And I also have other blogs on there. And definitely check out my husband's website, iamhelios.com, IAMHELIOS.com. He's always got new and different things on there, so you can check out his tarot offerings, and he also does astrology readings as well. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye!